What if we told you that the difference between the life you have now and the life you dream of was narrower than it seems? You don't have to be radically better. You don't even have to be noticeably better. You just have to be 1% better. If you want to learn how this rule can change your life, make sure you stick around until the very end of this video. One of the first really hard concepts all humans struggle with is trying to understand why a few people seem to enjoy most of the rewards in life, while everyone else barely survives. A few businesses succeed while far more fail. A few billionaires emerge while the majority of us are living paycheck to paycheck. A few athletes sweep all the gold medals at the Olympics, while the rest struggle to get a bronze. Most of us can trace this realization back to early childhood, when we first notice that others seem to outperform us. It leaves us wondering, why not me? And we continue to wonder this for the rest of our lives. But the reality is that while crossing the divide between average and amazing seems incredibly difficult, it's not. And the 1% rule is the secret to making that leap. So what exactly is the 1% rule? It's a simple rule. Over time, the majority of the rewards in a given field will accumulate with the people, teams, and organizations that maintain a 1% advantage over their competitors. In other words, you don't have to be twice as good to get twice the results. You just have to be slightly better. Think about it. In the most competitive arenas of life, the difference between first, second, and third place comes down to tiny differences. Fractions of seconds determine the winner of a race. Top graduates from law schools are comparing percentages up to 14 decimal points. And investors who see a 1% higher return can earn millions more. Maybe you're wondering how this could apply to you if you aren't an Olympic runner, or competing for a prestigious internship, or playing the stock market with millions of dollars. But here's the thing. You can apply the 1% rule to literally any area of your life. And by improving just 1%, you can see significant changes. But the most important part of the 1% rule is that you can accumulate those 1% advantages. You don't have to become 1,000 times better at one thing. You can see the same results by becoming 1% better at 1,000 things. If you get 1% better at something every week for a year, the compound effect at the end of the year is a 300% improvement. Imagine how different your life could look if you improved 300% at something you find meaningful. Still not buying it? That's okay. We know that it seems like a lot of woo that is too good to be true. So let's look at some real-life examples of the 1% rule in action. In the early 2000s, the British cycling team was the definition of average. They had endured almost 100 years of mediocrity and had never won the Tour de France. The organization brought on a new performance director, Dave Brailsford. Brailsford introduced a strategy he called the aggregation of marginal gains. The plan was not to increase their training schedule by hours each day or make sweeping changes to the team. Instead, Brailsford broke down everything he could think of that went into riding a bike and planned to improve each piece by 1%. Some of the changes were fairly obvious. He redesigned the bike seats to make them more comfortable and tested fabrics in the wind tunnel to select the one that was just slightly more aerodynamic. But other changes were more surprising. He tested massage gels to see which one led to the fastest muscle recovery. He hired a surgeon to teach each rider how to wash their hands to reduce the chances of getting a cold. He painted the inside of the team truck white to help them spot dust that could degrade the performance of their bicycles. Brailsford implemented hundreds of tiny improvements that to many outsiders looked like had nothing to do with making the British team any faster. But as the results of each minuscule change accumulated, the overall effect was blinding. Just 5 years after Brailsford took over, the blink of an eye in completely overhauling an athletic program, the British cycling team took home 60% of the gold medals at the 2008 Olympics. 4 years later, they set 9 Olympic records and 7 world records. And that same year, Bradley Wiggins became the first British cyclist to win the Tour de France. During a 10-year span from 2007 to 2017, British cyclists won 178 world championships and 66 Olympic and Paralympic gold medals, capturing 5 Tour de France victories and cemented their place in cycling history. Marginal gains, baby. The 1% rule isn't exclusive to athletic performance. In 2004, hospitals in Michigan set out to reduce a common, costly, and lethal problem in intensive care units: bloodstream infections related to catheter use. Again, the changes made were not anything crazy. They weren't trying new medicines or equipment. They weren't even asking the staff to complete additional duties. Still, the simple change they introduced was incredibly effective: a reduction in infections of 66%. What was the 1% change introduced? A checklist that included the 5 steps to take to avoid infection when putting a line in. Doctors are supposed to 1. Wash their hands thoroughly. 2. Clean the patient's skin with an antiseptic. 3. Put sterile drapes over the entire patient. 4. Wear sterile masks, hats, gowns, and gloves. 5. Put a sterile dressing over the site once the line is in. A 5-step checklist to ensure these procedures were followed every single time. That's it. We love this example because it shows what a profound impact introducing a few tiny tweaks can make. You don't have to reinvent the wheel to notice massive change. Sometimes you just need a way to hold yourself accountable or a more central location for supplies. The cost of these changes was next to nothing: a sheet of paper and some pencils. And it